Up on this episode of Up for Debate, we're talking the Super Bowl, and boy was this one super. We're going to cover the game, the halftime show, the commercials, and more, plus reveal the results of our Super Bowl prop bets. It's a can't-miss episode of Up for Debate, and it's starting for you right now. This is Up for Debate, episode number 74, recorded February 16th, 2017. Super Bowl 51, a comeback story. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the show that is going to talk about the Super Bowl tonight. I'm Sean Jennings, joined, as always, by the ethereal voice of Mr. Matt Mariani.
Yeah, hello there, Mr. Sean. I wish I could appear in person, but the Super Bowl game was just so crazy that, after I watched it, my bodily form disappeared. And I am now just a disembodied spirit.
You got transported to a non-visual realm.
Yes, I have been transported to a realm where the Patriots did not win their fifth Super Bowl in the last, 2 years. And it is a much better realm.
Is it?
That's for sure.
Is it?
That can, yes.
Matt, let me just say the following phrase. You ready for this? Super Bowl champion Atlanta Falcons. No one wants to hear that. No one. Come on. That doesn't even sound good, you know?
I don't know. I think that has a better ring to it than the guys that win all the time won again.
Oh, but everyone. Oh, come on. Everyone looks at sports and the what do you have on there?
Fantastic. I tied my tie around my head. I look like Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid video games.
Very hip reference.
All right, I'll go back to my realm now.
I kind of like that approach where you just pop in when it's relevant. Like when we need to see something visual, you pop in, and otherwise you just kind of hang out on the sidelines. I like that.
Yeah.
Matt,
speaking of sidelines, those sidelines, the action on the sidelines there was pretty crazy. I mean, in the beginning of the game, I was legitimately concerned for the well-being of many of the people standing on the sidelines. If you didn't notice, it seemed like there were a lot of passes that went out of bounds and a lot of people running. Did you not notice that?
No, I didn't think it was any more so than any other game.
I don't know.
I think
it seemed like there were a lot of people getting hurt on the sidelines. A lot of innocent bystanders there.
What,
I don't know.
What the heck are you talking about?
That was something that I
was there a lot of.
I was watching like the first quarter.
Was there a lot of collateral damage? I had no idea.
Well, there was a lot of acrobatics on the part of the athletes on the field, trying to keep the ball in bounds and trying to not go out of bounds. And game. I think this game. Well, you had Julio Jones,
who had one catch, one memorable catch, and a bunch of regular catches.
He had a plethora of memorable catches.
Matt, he only had 4 catches in the whole game.
Every single one of them was memorable.
Okay,
more memorable.
All right. Stop that. You're out of control. Matt, we are going to talk about the game. We're going to later talk about the bets. Let's start about the game. I think everyone by now knows the story about this game, the comeback story, the 25-point deficit. Matt, I've got this great list from sportingnews.com, 10 incredible stats from the Patriots win over the Falcons, and I want to share some of these with you if that's okay.
That's okay.
Because I think they tell a good story.
You won't know if I'm actually here or not because I'm reporting from the ethereal realm. So
you're just gonna get up and walk away. You're like, apparently
Report
Matt's
away.
had enough. Matt, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, prior to the Super Bowl this year, teams leading by 25 or more points at any time in an NFL game, right, were their record of the team who was behind, they lost 2,655 of those games and won 6 of them.
I was just trying to pretend like I wasn't actually
Good
here.
Lord. This is going to be a long evening. So, Matt, only 6 times in the history of the National Football League has a team come back from a 25-point deficit to win a game. That's 0.2% of the time that you're behind, period. I mean, this is not just of winning. Of the times they're behind, 0.2% of them win those games.
0.2%.
0.2%.
I want to know who the person was that not only was there a betting. I mean, I'm sure there was a betting window somewhere for an overtime game. Not only an overtime victory, but I want to know who is the one who how much money did the person win who bet that the Patriots would come back from a 25-point deficit?
Well, I mean, you can probably bet that the
That's
odds
a pretty obscene bet.
The odds of the game going into overtime in general were 10-1. But you couldn't really bet on that specific of an outcome.
Super Bowl had never gone into overtime.
That is absolutely a true fact.
I had to Google that. They said the closest that it had ever come prior to that was I think Rams. It was Rams Patriots
in 2001. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the Patriots won with like a last-minute field goal
with the Adam Vinatieri field goal. Absolutely.
So
beating the greatest show on turf, as they called the Rams.
Yeah, that was an interesting fact. So give me another stat. Give me another one of your stats on there.
How about this, Matt? Did you know in the entire game?
Try not to bang my head against the wall.
Okay, please don't. The Falcons during the entire game converted only 1 third down.
Really?
Yep. The Patriots converted 7 of 14. Falcons tried 8 of them, converted 0 of them. One of the reasons why Atlanta couldn't keep a lead because they kept getting kicked off the field.
Yeah. Got to keep your offense on the field.
Do you know, by the way, who the league leader in third down percentage was this year in the NFL? At 48% conversion?
Are you going to tell me it was the New England Patriots?
No, it was the New Orleans Saints, actually.
Oh, interesting. Well, I have a stat for you one of the stats that I read the day after the game. The Patriots led for approximately 0.0 seconds. Mm-hmm. They did not have a lead at any point until the very end.
Until they won.
Until that final touchdown that sealed it. Yeah, they had not had a lead once. It was just all around just a crazy game.
Matt, did you know that throughout the game they were computing the percent chance of either team winning, the win probability at any given moment? And do you know that the Falcons topped out at 99.7% chance of winning?
Yes, I did hear that. That was at their highest, yeah. I think that was just before halftime. Right? Well, they were up, at that point they were up like 23-6 or something, or no, more than that.
It was in the third quarter when it was 28-3 in the third quarter. At 20 different points in the game, the Falcons had a 99% or better chance to win. So it was all throughout the third quarter until the Patriots started scoring in the fourth.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy game.
Now, Matt, I have a question for you, talking about the game here. Okay. Do you think, in your opinion, that the New England Patriots won that game or the Atlanta Falcons blew that game?
It's an interesting question. I err more on the side of the Atlanta Falcons blew the game, but I don't say that they blew it like, oh, they totally just like let it go. They were not playing Bill Belichick's football. To play against Bill Belichick, you need to know that first half Bill Belichick is very different from second half Bill Belichick. You have to understand that what Bill Belichick does is he does it better than anybody else. He is a complete master of the game in terms of strategy. He's a chess master, and just like any good chess master, it's not really about your ability so much as it is your opponent's likelihood of making mistakes, and your ability to capitalize on their mistakes. And I think that Belichick does it better than anybody else. I think. Are you still there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Your video feed went away.
Oh, that's not good.
But all right. Anyway, if you're still there,
yes.
Yeah. So what Belichick did was he was the whole first half when everybody who doesn't know the New England Patriots were counting Brady and the Patriots off and writing them off. What Belichick was doing on the sidelines is he was calculating. He was making plans. He was writing in his playbook. He was basically reading Atlanta's defense. He knew before the end of the second quarter that he knew the game plan he had to go with in the second half. And it was really, more than anything else, pretty obviously a tale of two halves. And Atlanta, it's a combination of Atlanta maybe getting a little bit too comfortable with that wide lead. And I wouldn't even blame their defense so much as just that the offense is in a complete inability to score. Like, at that point on, it was like, it's a done deal. You got to remember that Belichick thinks, he thinks of both halves. And you have to be able to change. It's very difficult for any team to pull off. You have to be able to completely change your game plan at halftime and go in with a complete. If you're a running dominant team, you better start passing. If you're you lead with quick passes, you better try a couple of long bombs down the field. Like, you have to change some aspects of your offense in order to succeed. If you're playing a chess master like Bill Belichick. Sean?
Yes.
Still there?
Yes,
okay.
I was letting you finish your point.
I am done.
Okay.
That was my.
And it was a good point.
That was my point. Yeah. Speaking of points, did you know another interesting fact? I forget if it was the Falcons or the Patriots did not score a single extra point. I think it was the Patriots did not convert on any extra point attempt. They were all 2-point conversions.
Yeah, which I think that's the first Super Bowl playing team to ever do that and win.
Where that has ever happened. They attempted an extra point and they missed.
Right, they did. Yeah, no, they were the only Super Bowl team to have never gotten an extra point and won.
Yes.
Because there have been Super Bowls with a score of 0 or a score of 3, so I think that. But obviously those teams lost. In thinking about that sort of discussion of who won it, who lost it. If you think about it, right, you have the expectations of these teams coming in, right, where you have Atlanta, hot offense, right, offensive leader, number one offense in the league during the year, with a good enough defense. Not bad by any stretch, but also not great. I mean, kind of middle of the road, which is fine, okay? You have the Patriots, hot defense, right? Not the greatest in the league, but pretty good, better than Atlanta's defense. And then you have Tom Brady and the offense, who played a great year all year. The problem is in that first half, Atlanta's defense was unusually good and the Patriots were unusually lame, right? I mean, you got to remember, one of those touchdowns came on that pick six. Very few they were terrible in the red zone, the Patriots, settling obviously for a field goal. It was not the game was not traditional Patriots football, but I think the reason that they came back really was Atlanta's fault. I really do think that. I'll give you another stat here, Matt. The time of possession between the two teams. The New England Patriots had the ball for 40 minutes. The Falcons only had it for 23. Now, what that means is, of course, A, means the Falcons had less opportunities to score. It's amazing to get 28 points having that little time of possession, but also B, means the Atlanta defense was on the field a lot, like a lot. And they were putting them to work. And I'm telling you, by the time it got to the end of the fourth quarter and into overtime, they were gassed. They were tired. And they started making mistakes. They had such a good first half. And whether it was the excitement of being up and not handling the comeback, whether it was just a physical, that they hadn't been tested in that way, they started making mistakes. And I really think that is one of the things that that really hurt them. We saw an example of this in was it college football as well? This happened to another. See, now I'm mixing up my games. I believe that's why Alabama lost against Clemson, was because Alabama's defense was just on the field so much that they just had nothing left in them by the end of the game. You're not supposed to split your offense and defense that much. Never mind the fact that the Patriots had 99 offensive plays, a Super Bowl record. So they were putting up plays like crazy. I mean, they really pushed that defense, a defense that wasn't ready to handle it. If they had done that in the first half, like they should have, it wouldn't have been as big of a gap. So I really think that was the biggest thing. I mean, Tom Brady was great, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't like unusually great for Tom Brady. That was, personally, I thought that was regular season Tom Brady in the last quarter. It's just that the defense fell apart. But, I'm also not an expert in football, so.
Yeah, it really was I feel like the exact opposite of what anybody was expecting. I mean, I had a prediction that the Patriots would win. I think the majority of Americans predicted the Patriots would win, but I think that they thought it was going to be just domination from the start. Not necessarily a blowout, although some people might have been thinking a blowout. You have this Atlanta Falcons team that had never been to the big game before. The bright lights, you never really know how a young team like that will perform, but you really had this team. They were the ones that were playing like the true veterans, and for the first all the way up until like midway through the third quarter, it looked like the Patriots were the ones that looked like they had never been there before. So I mean, that was certainly surprising for for a lot of people.
I mean, let's just remember, it cannot, in my opinion, cannot be said enough how good the Falcons defense was in the first half. I mean, they were really good. A pick six. They had Brady was sacked a number of times. The pressure on them was really high. A lot of incompletions. It was really bad in the red zone. What was it? The Patriots had, I think, over 200 yards of offense in the first half. I mean, it's not that they necessarily couldn't move the ball. It's just they were putting the pressure on in the right places where, okay, yeah, you could march down the field, but not near enough to, first of all, stick them way back in their own end zone. And then, not let them get near the red zone. So they did a great look. They were really good in the first half. I didn't think another stat here is, 23 pass attempts for Matt Ryan. That ties his season low. He wasn't throwing the ball, which is how they've won all season. That's why Julio Jones only had 4 targets, right? So their offense was good enough in the first quarter to put up some. I don't know. I just think that it was a shame that as a Patriots fan, I honestly, Tom Brady played a really great end of game. But I saw an interview with Tom Brady where someone said, "Oh, Tom, this is the greatest game you've ever played," and Tom said, "No, it's not the greatest game I've ever played, because we were terrible. I was terrible for most of it, so it was a good ending, but by no means was that the best game I've played. Not even close."
No, definitely not. It was really just like you said. It was wearing down the defense. And it was capitalizing on your opponent's mistakes and exploiting weaknesses.
But the Super Bowl is a weird game. It honestly, and I know that's like cheesy to say, like there's something special about the Super Bowl, but I really think there is for a number of reasons, including the fact that you have 2 weeks leading up to the game to prep and practice, which is unusual in the football season. All the hype around it, as you mentioned, you got rookies coming in, people who haven't been to the Super Bowl, so you have nerves around that. But I also think that, and this is historic in all the Super Bowl games, it doesn't take much to swing a Super Bowl. I mean, it's one game where the stakes are so high and the nerves are so high. I think about the Dante Hightower strip sack of Matt Ryan that gave the Patriots the ball back at I think it was the 30 or so yard line in Atlanta territory that gave them one of the 2 touchdowns they needed with the 2-point conversion to get back in the game. And so it's that one play that had a ton of momentum behind it. So it doesn't take a Herculean effort. I feel like there's a reason why so few teams down 25 have won, because the vast majority of those were in the regular season, where it's not in teams to come back from something like that. And you have to suck pretty hard to get down by 25, and odds are good you're not good enough to get back. That's what the Patriots had going for them. It's not that they were down, it's that they're one of the few teams ever who's good enough to come back and do that. And on top of that, the icing on top of that was that the Atlanta defense just sputtered out. Thankfully for them.
Now let me bring up a point that I was thinking of when I brought up the topic of capitalizing off of your opponent's mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I just remembered the main evidence for that point. Think back to the fourth quarter, mm-hmm. Okay, right before the game goes into overtime, right before the Patriots tie it up.
Yep.
Atlanta has the ball, and they're driving toward the end zone. They get into field goal range, not field goal range, but they're driving around field goal range. They were I think they were within the 30. So technically, yes, they were within field goal range.
They were very close.
To put the game just out of reach, what you do in that situation on third down is you run the football. You run the football, presuming the worst that could happen, barring a fumble, is that you're not going to gain anything, or at worst, you lose a yard or two. Instead, what happens is, and Atlanta fans will remember this, I think, for the next 50 years or so, at least the rest of their lifetime, is Matt Ryan drops back to pass the ball, gets sacked, a huge sack, takes them right out of field goal range, and they're forced to punt. On that subsequent drive, that's the drive the Patriots tie it up, and into overtime. In that situation, that to me right there, that was the game. That was the game. I saw it coming, almost like a train crash in slow motion. As soon as he gets sacked, he's out of field goal range. It's, the Patriots are going to do what the Patriots do. So Atlanta had their fate in their hands right there, and that's really on the head coach. That's on
an offensive coordinator. Sure, I mean, you don't blow a 25-point lead just because the other team is really good. I am convinced you have to fuck something up on your own end to blow that kind of lead. And I don't think there's any doubt the Falcons did. And you can point to a lot of things. Bad play calling, absolutely. 2, clock management. Falcons made no effort to run down the clock in the fourth quarter as the Patriots were coming back. You can... the choices of plays and the pass-run mix didn't make a lot of sense. I just... I think back, NFL Network was running a lot of content before the Super Bowl, and they were running old Super Bowls, both shortened versions and the full games. And I caught the Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl from, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2014.
It sounds right. Where the Patriots won, ending on that famous Malcolm Butler interception at the goal line.
Yeah.
Patriots shouldn't have won that game.
No.
You have to remember,
absolutely not.
And I think people forget because they remember the great interception. It was second down at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line with under a minute left in the fourth quarter, and it would have put them up by 3. And of course, Patriots could have driven back, kicked a field goal, gone in overtime, sure. But I mean, it's insane that the game ended that way. But that was a close game the whole way through. That's my point, is that it went back and forth, and the Seahawks hung with them the whole time. Atlanta just didn't do that. if the game had ended at halftime, we all would have stepped back and said, "Wow, this Falcons team is for real. They're legit." Not only is Matt Ryan great, the couple defensive players who were making all the sacks and the interception, they're great, and Julio Jones is great. I mean, we would have gone on and on about how amazing they are. It was two completely different I say halves, but I guess you can kind of say the beginning of the third quarter is in the Falcons' favor too, but it was two completely different halves of football. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, well, going back to that Patriots-Seahawks game, I mean, just simply running the ball into the end zone, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist you're 2 yards away and you have arguably the best running back in the league at the time. I'll never to the end of my the end of my days, I will never understand why Pete Carroll passed the ball. But
you know what?
Ever. I will never understand.
I'm going to rep for Pete Carroll here, and here's why. I think it's so unbelievably easy to now sit here and say, wow, what a stupid mistake, where if he had thrown in for the touchdown and they won the Super Bowl, we would have said, what a great call. I agree. Did it make more sense to do the run? Probably. But was the pass a bad idea? I don't think so.
I think anybody who's ever played a game of Madden, on their Xbox or their PlayStation, I think anybody who's ever played Madden before knows that is a bad move. That is a terrible decision. You never pass the ball when you're inside the 5-yard line.
But the problem
it's picked off every time. Especially if you have a hard mode. Madden.
There are a lot of teams that at that distance from the goal line have tried to run it in and have failed. It happens. It's not a guarantee. Maybe safer than a pass, but by no means a guarantee. And when you're looking at clock management at the end of the game, you want to bleed the clock a little bit. I'm just saying, in retrospect, it's a bad call, but it's not the worst call. It's not like a boneheaded move. He made a million good calls during the game to put them ahead in the fourth quarter.
I mean, sure, he didn't punt the ball on the 2-yard line. I guess maybe that would have been worse. But other than that, I don't know. I don't see a worse call than passing the ball straight ahead on a routine slant route.
I'm just saying, Pete Carroll, a Super Bowl winning coach, made one bad move, and that's all anyone talks about when they talk about Pete Carroll. And I don't think that's fair. Because it's not like the Falcons where they blew an entire half of a game. They blew one play. And you could be sitting here thinking, well, is it Russell Wilson's fault because he didn't get the ball over just a little bit more, so Malcolm Butler wasn't there? I mean, is it I forget who the receiver was on that for the Seahawks, but, did he do a good enough job?
I think it was it Sherman? No, wait, I don't know what am I saying. Sherman is defense. I don't remember who the receiver was. I don't remember.
It's funny, we remember Butler, we don't remember him.
Now, was it Graham? Was it Jimmy? No, see, Graham would be the guy you'd be looking for in that situation.
Oh, yeah, no, you want a big guy, sure.
Did they? Yeah, they had Graham on that team, right? Or no, maybe that was. I think that might have been before.
Yeah, I think Graham came on the following year.
I think you're right. Yeah, the following season. Anyway, I think the same argument can be applied for this Super Bowl as the one that we're currently applying to the Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl of 2014. I think the same argument can be applied because you have that one play between Atlanta and the one that I referenced before, where you could, if they had run the ball instead of passed it, not the exact same situation, but a very similar one. They made the wrong decision there. Then again, I mean, who knows what would have happened? Maybe he would have missed the field goal. Maybe the field goal would have been blocked.
It is. And the way the defense was playing, even if they made the field goal, I know it would have been 12 points in a very short amount of time, but the way the defense was playing, there's no, it's entirely theoretical that the Patriots could have done that.
Yeah, but it would have. I think in that situation, it would have put the game out of reach. I think the Patriots just made the overtime. They just tied it up.
Yeah, but
just narrowly. If Atlanta had been up by 3 points, I think that would have sealed the deal.
But Matt, you know what? Honestly, you could say being down 25 points puts the game out of reach. So I'm not. I realize time wasn't on their side, but again, this is not the David Tyree catch where there's a memorable moment like maybe the Edelman catch, But you can't point to any one moment in this game and tell me that's the thing that swung it, because then you could say, well, if Ryan hadn't gotten sacked and gotten pushed out of field goal range, if what was it? What's the other play I'm thinking of? They allowed 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get one. How do you allow 2?
Yeah, that was definitely on the defense, for sure.
So there were plenty more, and all they had to do was stop one drive. That overtime drive, there was zero. Did the defense even get on the field?
No,
I don't even think the Patriots had a third down.
I think that's really the straw that breaks the camel's back, is that Matt Ryan sack. I think that if he had just run the ball, maintained your ground in scoring range.
Well,
I think that puts the game out of reach if you make that field goal right there.
You also have to remember, by the way, on that play that you're right. They were down, I think, about the 25-yard line. They were pretty close.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a hard field goal to make.
No, not at all. But it wasn't just the sack. They had 2 back-to-back holding penalties that also killed them, and that's on the offensive line. So, honestly, you want to talk about big moments in the game, the overtime coin flip. Because I'm telling you, if that had come up Falcons, there was a decent chance. Matt Ryan rested. He barely played, let's be honest. The Patriots' defense was probably getting pretty tired at that point, too, although they had played a little better in the second half. But the way Julio Jones was catching, it's entirely theoretical that just simply by winning the coin flip, the greatest comeback ever would have ended in a Falcons victory.
And I guess that kind of segues into a whole nother debate.
We're not going to talk about overtime rules, are we?
And that has to do with the overtime rules in the NFL and college, but I think that might be for another episode.
This is quickly turning into Sean and Matt Shock Jock Radio here in the morning. Our sports
I got
radio.
That feeling too.
Sean and Matt on ESPN Radio.
I was starting to feel like, what's that show on ESPN? A hot take? There's hot takes, but there's
also a bunch of those talking head shows. Sure.
I'm trying to think of the one that, I don't know. It'll come back to me. The one where Stephen A.
Oh, I hate that guy so much. God, he's the worst. He's just not a good human being. No, First Take, I think, is the one you're thinking of.
First Take. That's what it was. Not Hot Take. Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay.
Another time. But I would like to talk about, just very quickly, one word. Are you in favor of the current overtime rules?
No, I'm not.
Okay. We'll talk about this another time. But there's a lot of Super Bowls still to talk about, and we've already gone 30 minutes. So we got to keep this train rolling here. Matt, what did you think of the halftime show? We had the lady herself, Lady Gaga, come out. No special guests. I was half expecting Bruno Mars or Beyonce to show up again, but they didn't. We had her on with the drones behind her at NRG Stadium. She swung down from the roof. She did a medley of her greatest hits, and then
now that's a little bit misleading, because she didn't actually swing down from the roof.
And, there were people I talked to who really thought she did, who thought she did the singing up on the roof with the drones, and I'm like, that's definitely pre-recorded.
That was pre-recorded, okay. Yeah. It was cut, but anyway, I think Lady Gaga surprised us on many different fronts. The no guests at all. That certainly was a surprise. The lack of any kind of overt political statement, because I do believe that there were many political statements throughout her, political and social statements throughout her routine. They were all very subtle, however, and very almost subliminal.
So subtle, they were useless.
I wouldn't say useless. I don't know. I think that Lady Gaga had a she was walking a tightrope, for lack of a better word, when it comes to that act. And we debated both the merits and virtues and potential downfalls of making a political statement or not making a political statement. We went back and forth on that issue. She had a lot at stake for that show, and I think she did a fine job.
Matt, I just don't care about the halftime show anymore. Like, it's a decent concert, but there's no real spectacle to it. Like, I could, when the Grammys were on the other night, they had people performing. It's the same thing. Like, what is
Yeah.
the Super Bowl? You go back and watch some of the biggest Super Bowl performances of all time. Michael Jackson, of course, when he did it. Some of the real weird early ones. I recommend Winter Magic is my favorite. When it was like a bunch of spectacle, and when they did Elvis Presto and the world's largest magic trick, another very weird one. Again, another one you should go look up on YouTube. Even Katy Perry a few years ago, where it seemed to just be a little bit more dynamic than just someone getting up on stage and singing with some flashing lights. Like, I could go to any concert and see what I saw Lady Gaga do, short of her descent from the roof. But even then, okay, super. Like, I'm just saying, she did a fine job. Like, she sang her songs. I like the songs. She was, I would argue, one of the better live singers we've had in a while. I thought she sounded really good. It was a good mix of the live and pre-recorded tracks. The dancers were fine. The costumes were fine. But I was watching it, and I'm like, so? Big whoop. That was my takeaway.
How about this? Next Super Bowl, we have David Blaine, David Copperfield, and Chris Angel all come out and have a magic battle.
I think those guys hate each other. Oh, a battle. I was going to say, I think they hate each other, but they like against each other. Sure.
They battle each other using their magic tricks. And only one can survive the magic battle. Would that be more entertaining for you, Sean? Would that satiate your bloodlust?
Honestly, Matt, you know what I would have bring out Sir Patrick Stewart, do some Shakespeare. I mean, there's so many other options.
That would be fantastic. I would be so on board for that.
You
have no idea. Honestly, I'm not sure if the beer swilling football masses would stay attuned for that, but I would be all for it.
Bring out the cast of Hamilton. Have them do a couple numbers from that and a little bit of the play, a little mini piece of Hamilton.
There were rumors that part of the cast of Hamilton were supposed to be performing with Lady Gaga, but
they did.
They sung the Star Spangled Banner. Yes, they sung the national anthem in the beginning of the game.
No, they did America the Beautiful. Luke Bryant did the national anthem.
All right. To be fair, I was not watching. I didn't watch the beginning of. I actually missed like the first 5 minutes of the game. I was still en route to my party destination at that point.
It's okay. I sliced my finger open. I cut my finger open cutting a hoagie roll, so I was bleeding, so I didn't watch. But that's beside the point. No, I don't. If you're gonna come out and sing, make it memorable. That's Prince when he did it. Of course, he was in the rain.
That was phenomenal. Yeah.
But it felt like there was some passion behind it. This, to me, felt like Lady Gaga treated it like another stop on her tour. That's not interesting to me. It's the goddamn Super Bowl. Like, blow the roof. Go nuts. And then the drones, which were honestly kind of ended up being lame, I thought. Like, obviously, I realized that FAA rules.
They didn't really do anything cool.
They're not allowed to do anything with them during the Super Bowl. That's why it was pre-recorded. Legally, they couldn't. But I would like to have them in the stadium doing crazy shit. Like, what they did was kind of interesting, but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I admire the subtlety of Lady Gaga's message. I mean, it was almost like her routine was a routine you would see from somebody who was living in a country with like massive censorship and couldn't overtly say what they wanted to say.
Are you kidding me?
So they have to like disguise it. And I thought it took great artistic license to pull that off.
Matt, the commercials were more political than she was. Are you kidding me?
The commercials were more overtly political. They were extremely political. We can talk about those.
I'll give you what'd she do? God Bless America at the top. I'll give you that. Other than that, what was political
the Pledge
about
of Allegiance?
What was political about that?
She did the parts of the play. It was all about segments. Like she did segments of her things had to do with, the state of relationships with foreigners, relationships.
She just sang her songs.
Yeah, but only the parts of the songs that were like basically. All right, so
they're still her songs.
So the Vice President Pence, was at the game.
Yes, he was.
You have to remember, watching the Super Bowl live at the stadium. Oh, I don't know how that happened. Live at the stadium. So to send a clear message to him, she basically took parts of her songs that had to do with her politics, with the gay audience and everything at home. And like
Bullshit.
she said what she had to say.
Bullshit. Absolutely not. Matt, those are popular songs that have been out for years.
Yeah,
so
but
she chopped them up.
She didn't sing the whole song. She chopped them up.
No artist ever sings all the songs.
Yeah, but it was you got to listen to the parts that she was singing.
Oh my god,
it was the parts that she was singing.
No. What a half-assed thing that is. Are you kidding me?
You gotta listen to the parts.
But if you're gonna do it, then fucking do it and come out and say something or show something.
No, because that's not the point.
Matt, if it's so subtle, no one gets it. Then obviously it didn't work.
No, everybody got it. It was all over Twitter. People loved it.
Well, we're following different Twitters because I saw a lot of Twitters where they're like, "Wow, I'm surprised Lady Gaga didn't do something more."
Everybody was talking about it.
Oh my god, absolutely not! What a joke! No,
millions and billions of people. They were all talking about it.
I'll give her the opening when she was up on the roof, and that I was doing air quotes, but you can't see roof in the pre-record. I'll give you that, but in the actual performance part of it, no, she just sang a medley of her songs.
All right.
It just so happens her whole shtick is like people's rights and gay rights. Like that's always been her shtick.
Exactly. That's her whole thing. But she was being subtle about it. Why? Because she was acting like she was under censorship. That was the whole message.
What?
Her message was like the United States is being censored. We're being cut off.
Did she send a memo to everybody explaining this? Because I certainly was there like a pre-roll I missed?
Between the lines, Sean. You had to read between the lines.
Matt, the font was so goddamn small on that message. I need a microscope to see it. Are you kidding me?
I thought it was very interesting and not at all expected. I thought it was great.
Matt.
I thought it was tremendous.
Okay. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that.
I thought it was huge.
She got up and she sang her songs, and then she was done, like every other Super Bowl halftime performer in history.
All right. Speaking frankly here, do I think it was the best halftime show ever? Absolutely not. Far from it.
But there were worse. There have definitely been worse. So.
But yes, there have definitely been worse. Do I think that the commercials were more political than her routine? Yes. The commercials were very political. And that's something I truly didn't expect.
Well, let's talk about that then. So what did you think of the commercials?
Wow. Very underwhelming, I think, in terms of to me a Super Bowl I remember the Super Bowl commercials that used to be funny. They used to be humorous and they were memorable. Humorous and memorable were the top two. I think that these commercials were neither, but they were very political, and very, I guess, socially relevant. Any historian that's going to look back at the 2017 Super Bowl and kind of analyze the commercials for a sign of the times will be you'll see 2016 election broadcast across every screen. I think there was one commercial that I really liked. It was a Bud Light commercial that featured a dog. It was the ghost of this dog.
Did you know who the dog was, Matt? The famous dog?
I did not. Now, I did not know that. I didn't. When I was watching the commercial, I didn't know who the dog was, but my coworkers who are in their 40s and 50s had to explain that to me the next day.
It's Spuds MacKenzie, Matt, the ultimate party dog.
I had never heard of Spuds MacKenzie.
I'm alive in the 80s, yeah.
Exactly. So I did not know who that was, but my coworkers knew who it was. They had to explain him to me. Apparently, he was a dog that went to parties or something. He was a party,
the ultimate party dog, and he would have a beer, and he loved Bud Light.
And now he's dead.
But he's back. He's back.
Yeah. in ghost form.
Mm-hmm. Encouraging people
Um,
to drink Bud Light.
yeah. So I thought that was a funny commercial. That was effective. Um, there was also the Budweiser. All right, now I guess we'll delve in because I can't remember. I honestly can't remember another funny
Well,
commercial.
I'm looking up the
So
list.
so we can delve into the well, there was the Mr. Clean one where the Mr. Clean guy was
Oh,
dancing around
that was
sexily
weird.
and provocatively. That was just weird. Um, I mean, the rest of them were, you had the Budweiser commercial where the German guy comes over on a boat and everybody hates him here, but then he makes Bud Light, and it turns out, like in a little twist, in the end, he's the founder of Budweiser, and he's meeting the other founder of Budweiser, Anheuser and Busch, um, and I don't know, but it still had that like anti-immigrant kind of message, or that like I guess pro-immigrant message. It just seemed like every commercial had like an agenda. Then there was the Audi commercial that talked about equal
Pay
pay.
for women. Yeah, it was. I don't.
Didn't make any
It
sense
was
because
exhausting. It
I
was.
just didn't get how that's supposed to sell your car. Like,
There was the Google Home one that was the with all the international people talking the different languages. Airbnb did one with people with all the different races of people, and just after
did
a
Coke
while.
have one?
Oh,
Was
Coke.
Coke the one where they were saying like the Pledge of Allegiance in different
Yep,
languages?
that's
Yeah.
right. Yep, you're right. Oh my
Like,
god, it was tiring. I was just like, I don't know.
they were driving it
I
home.
remember
Yeah,
when they used to be fun.
that's what I was saying before.
I
Remember
know.
when
Well,
they used to
but that's
be
what I thought during the
humorous and-
game.
yeah, humorous and memorable. Like you had the frogs. Remember the Budweiser
Oh,
frogs?
Budweiser. Yes,
That
of
was
course.
great.
But Matt, now I will say there were a few commercials I did like during the commercial. First of all, do you remember the Bush beer commercial that aired,
Which one
where
was
he'd
that?
open the can and go, and it would just keep it did that for the whole commercial. They made a joke. No, okay, you don't remember that one. That one was a good one. Let me see. I have a list. Oh, did you there were those terrible Justin Bieber T-Mobile ads.
Yeah, God,
Those
sucked.
sucked. What else? There was the Tide where they did it throughout the game with
Oh, yes. Wait, there
Terry
was
Bradshaw with the stain on his shirt.
I just remembered the. Wait, go ahead. What was that commercial?
No, where they did the multiple part one with Terry Bradshaw, who was doing Fox coverage of the game, and he got a stain on his shirt, and it showed him like running away from, like it involved like they had him do like an actual like live spot from the game with a stain on his shirt. And actually, someone on Twitter was like, "Wow, does Terry Bradshaw have a stain on his shirt?" And then, like a couple of commercials later, it was a Tide commercial where it was him, like pre-recorded, but it was him with the stain, and he had to go. And they had some other celebrities who came in, Rob Gronkowski and Jeffrey Tambor came in, and it was like him getting the stain off his shirt for the big game.
Oh yes,
And there were like three of them. That was a whole story.
I thought that was that was it was like a little story built in. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a decent try.
Now I remember. All right, I somehow have forgotten actually a really good commercial. Probably my favorite one of the night. It was probably because I might not have been paying attention to it. I don't remember seeing it during the Super Bowl, but I saw it like the day after the Super Bowl. But it was clearly a commercial that was meant to be aired during the Super Bowl, even though I saw it the day after.
Mm-hmm.
It was when the one where they're on the set. I think they're filming like Westworld or something, or they're filming maybe just some generic cowboy thing, and the guy like messes up the whole. It was a Snickers commercial.
It was
Yes.
It was Kylo Ren from the
Mhm.
Star Wars. What's his name?
Yes, he messes up
Adam
the
Driver.
whole. Yeah, Adam Driver. He messes up the skit. Like he comes out too late or something, or he doesn't realize he's supposed to come out, and it basically wacky shenanigans ensue, and he destroys the whole set.
Well, do you know the story behind that?
Is there? Oh, there's a story.
There is a story behind that, a gimmick behind that. That was the first ever live Super Bowl commercial. They actually broadcast him do. They actually had a soundstage during the Super Bowl and aired it live. And you saw the recorded version after the fact, but during the game, all that shit that happened in the commercial happened live.
Oh.
But what was weird is like nobody knew it was live because Snickers did a poor job of telling people that. So
Yeah.
I think very few people actually realized. But that was like they did like pre-game advertising, like check out our live Super Bowl ad. Never been done before.
Yeah. See, I wish I had known that story. I would have been looking for it, like during the game. Huh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there were a mix. I think some were decent and memorable, but I just think the everyone is going to remember the, how should I say, bummer ones of of course Lumber 84 was had their big ad with the wall and all that. So I don't, whatever. They're all going to be anyway. We are running short on time here, Matt. So I think it's time to talk about our Super Bowl prop bets.
Yeah, let's get into the bets.
So, folks out there may remember back 2 episodes ago on episode 72, we did our Super Bowl prop bets. Matt and I put together, I didn't even do a final count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bets on the Super Bowl. Everything from the ratings to the coin toss to the song sung at the halftime show to who the MVP is, etc., etc. Now comes the time, Matt, to find out the results. Would you like to know how we did?
Absolutely.
Now, most people, if you followed us on Up for Debate TV on Twitter, I live tweeted the results as the game went on, and people were getting involved. It was a lot of fun, though. I don't know why I do this every year, because it makes watching the Super Bowl kind of not fun. Because, especially when we do bets like how many times they say Deflategate, that means I have to watch it and listen to every single word they say, because I can't miss when they say Deflategate.
Yeah.
Please remind me of that next year, not to do bets like that.
Let's not. Yeah, let's. I can only imagine what you would have gone through. I was there. I was just watching, enjoying the game.
And then the double problem is that we did a bet on the commercials with Peyton Manning, which means I had to watch every commercial. Bathroom breaks were a nightmare. So I just don't. Next year, let's not do that. But all right, Matt, let's dig in as to how we did on these bets. You up for that?
I'm up for debate.
Okay, so let me go here in order of how they happened during the game for the most part, and you can keep tally as we go through here, is that we started with the coin toss, Matt. Now, you took tails, I took heads. You actually won this one last year, and Matt, the coin toss came up tails, so you get your first point there. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Now, we also bet on Bill Belichick, Coach Bill Belichick's hoodie, the color of his hoodie. I said it was going to be gray. You said it was going to be not a hoodie. You suggested a 3-piece suit. And somehow, Matt, you won that bet because he didn't wear a hoodie at all. He just wore like a pullover. So another point for Matt. This is really embarrassing. Next up, Lady Gaga's set list, Matt. We each picked 3 songs we thought Lady Gaga was going to perform during her halftime show. You picked Poker Face, You and I, and one of her new hits, Million Reasons. I picked Born This Way, Bad Romance, and another one of her new songs, Perfect Illusion. And Matt, we split this one 2-2 because from your list she played Million Reasons and Poker Face, and from my list she played Born This Way and Bad Romance. So we each get 2 points for that.
Mm-hmm.
That brings the score you 4, me 2, so you've got the lead at this point.
Wow, this game is closer. It's a closer game than the Super Bowl so far.
I know, no blowouts here yet. Yeah. Now, we made a bet whether or not Lady Gaga would say something overtly political, and I believe we even agreed that she had to use the word Trump somewhere in there for it to work. You said she wouldn't do it. I made the irresponsible decision to say yes, she would do it, so you get the point.
Yep.
Putting you up 5-2. Next up, no, we had 2 bets on mentions. If the commentators would mention either Deflategate or Matty Ice. When it comes to Deflategate, you bet they would say it between 5 and 7 times. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to take the over, so greater than 7, or the under, less than 5. I took the under, and I was right, Matt. Do you know how many times they mentioned it?
Did they mention it once?
They mentioned it. Well, the word Deflategate, which was the specific terms of that bet, they said it 0 times that I caught.
Yeah.
Very good. The game was too exciting for them to bring up the past.
Yeah, I guess so.
When it comes to Matty Ice, I bet they would say it. You bet that they would not say it. As far as I can tell, they did not say it, so you get a point for that.
Yeah.
No mentions of Matty Ice. I think if he had a better game, more opportunities, I think they might have said it, but I just not close enough. Let's see. Also here on the list, as we get towards the end of the game, Peyton Manning commercial. This was an interesting one. We had a bet on how many commercials Peyton Manning would star in. Now, you bet he would star in one commercial. I bet he would star in 2 or more commercials. Matt, do you know how many Peyton Manning starred in this year?
He starred in absolutely none.
Not one. We picked the wrong. So Rob Gronkowski was like in 4 commercials.
Yes, that would have been a better option. Or Kylo Ren.
Literally anyone else. We picked
or
Peyton
Terry Bradshaw.
We could have. Man, I don't know what we were thinking. Justin Bieber. No, neither of us get a point on that because we both blew it.
Yep.
Let's see. Up next, as we get towards the end of the game here, Matt, you and I bet on the color of the Gatorade dumped on the winning coach. You said it would be red Gatorade. I said it would be orange Gatorade. Matt, the game was so exciting they didn't dump Gatorade on anybody.
Oh, that's right. That was very strange. I that's the first time I can remember that happening. I didn't see any Gatorade flying.
It all happened so fast, and in the first overtime game, they were too busy. They didn't have a chance to do it, so neither of us get a point on that one. Up next, we have the obviously you and I picked the scores. We picked who we thought would win. Now, we both said New England, so that's a wash. But we actually picked the points. You said it would be a score of 28-17. I said it would be 35-29. Now, Matt, do you remember the final score of the game?
Was it 30? I'm just going to take a wild guess and say 32-29.
No, it was 34-28. I was 1 point.
Wow.
I said 35-29. It was 34-28.
So you were 1 point off on either side.
So I'm giving myself a point.
I'll give you the point.
I'll give you the point. Well, because you know you win, so come on, cut me some slack here. But I'll take credit. I don't know why I picked 35-29 because those are very weird numbers. When it's hard in football to score those numbers. 35 not so much because that's 5 touchdowns without any additional points. But 29 is a weird one. I should have done 35-28, but whatever. I'm not gonna play. I'll take it. Matt, we both bet on the MVP of the game. We both agreed that if New England won, it would be Tom Brady. If the Falcons won, you said Matt Ryan. I said Devontae Freeman. Nobody gets a point because we both picked Tom Brady. Although I will say, if the Falcons had won, I think you would have had a better shot because Freeman ended up doing nothing all game.
Yeah.
So, who knows? So, no points there. Lastly, Matt, we bet on the Super Bowl ratings, right? I said the Super Bowl ratings would be higher this year than they were, than the highest ratings ever. It would set a new ratings record. And you said, no, Sean, that's a stupid idea. Why would you say that? Now, the previous record had been in total number of viewers, or in average viewers, because that's the stat they use now. 114 million watched the Patriots beat the Seahawks. This year, only 111 million on average watched, although the total number was higher. Matt, you get a point for that because you took the lower. And that concludes our bets, Matt, with a final score. Drum roll, please. Yeah, there you go. Matt 7, Sean 4. Matt is our reigning 2-time Super Bowl prop bet champion.
Dynasty.
Almost a dynasty.
Nice.
Almost a dynasty. Right now, you're just a repeat winner. Congratulations, Matt.
Won by a field.
Suck at this.
I think we just need to, like you said, we can't. I think next year we can't make bets where you have to pay super close attention because it kind of takes all the fun right out of the game.
Well, yeah, and we try to mix up the bets each year, and depending on the game and who's playing and the halftime show, there'll be different bets. So we'll have the opportunity to do that. Just no more mentions. The mentions ones are hard because you have to listen to every word the commentators say because you can't miss it. So no more of those. Even the commercial ones I don't mind as much because I'll take my bathroom breaks during the game. Like, whatever, it's not the end of the world. But just the mention ones are like, I'm always listening. Like, did he say? Did he? So, but otherwise, no, it wasn't too bad.
Now you say you take your bathroom breaks during the game?
Well, I would in that case if I had to watch the commercial. Well, like man, the Super Bowl isn't impossible because the game is exciting. The commercials are exciting. Do you know when you take a bathroom break?
And you're drinking tons of beer. Are you going to say the halftime show?
No. Punts.
Punts?
Most boring part of the game.
Well, not necessarily. What if they run the punt back for a touchdown?
I'll take those odds. I
see your point. I agree. I would say punts and kickoffs. That's when you want to.
Or just put a TV in your bathroom and really just complete the. All right, I think we've gone too far.
Or maybe on challenges, specifically challenges that what the outcome will.
Long replays, yeah. Although there were like none of those during this Super Bowl.
No. There was one. There was the catch, that Edelman catch.
That's right, where Quinn flew through the flag.
You had the Edelman catch, and you also had the Jones catch, the Julio Jones catch.
Yeah, but that was quick. I mean, they didn't spend a lot of time. I don't even think they went to commercial break.
They definitely reviewed that one.
I know. What was it? It was near the half where the game was on pace to be the shortest Super Bowl ever. It was being played so fast. Oh
God, it was very fast. Everybody I was watching with, we were remarking that they got to halftime super quick. Like, it seemed like they breezed through the first half.
They were flying, but again, that was just the way the clock played, the lack of challenges, the lack of penalties. There weren't a lot of penalties, and the penalties that there were like holding, which usually tend to be pretty quick.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of debate about it. So
not many significant penalties in that case, in Time's case.
No, very, very efficient football, to say the least. All right, Matt, we're done.
We're done. Season's over.
That is it.
Baseball's right around the corner.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? I'm actually going to try and get more into. The problem I have, so I've slowly gotten into sports. I'm not historically a big sports guy. But I first got into football, and I'm like, football's really cool. And then like a year or two ago, I started getting into basketball. And now I don't watch it all the time, but I try and catch it when it's on and follow the teams and know what's going on. And the playoffs I get really excited about. Last year, during the Cubs' their own record-setting run, I started watching baseball playoffs, and actually I got really interested in it. So this year I'm going to try. I probably won't catch many regular season games, but I'm going to try to at least stay up on baseball.
Okay.
So I'm kind of looking forward.
I think you'll find it rewarding. The thing about baseball is that there's just so much of it. If you really devote yourself to watching a lot of baseball, I'm talking like multiple teams and
sure,
a lot like. I think that's what's good and bad. That's the blessing and the curse of the baseball fan, is that there's so much baseball. If you try to follow it, you're going to go nuts. Like if you try to follow it super closely or super religiously. But at the same time, you're surrounded by baseball. So, the next game is never that far out of reach. There's 217 games in the season.
The volume is crazy.
So it's like, more than any popular sport.
Well, hockey has a lot though.
It does, but not more than baseball. Look that up. I'm pretty sure that baseball has more regular season games.
Okay, how many hockey games in a season?
Because I don't think hockey, they don't play like three. They'll play games, but they won't play like 3-game sets like baseball does. Usually you play 3 or 4 game series against one team before you move to the next team.
So does it sound right that, oh wow, they play 162 games? That
Who,
can't
hockey?
be right. No, baseball.
Oh, baseball does, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds like.
hockey
I thought it
plays
was more.
hockey plays 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I did not I didn't, and basketball plays 82 as well.
Yeah, so
Um
it's double
I
that.
had no idea that they played that many games. Holy
Oh
shit.
yeah.
So then multiply that times how many teams are there?
There are 20. I'm thinking football. There are 30 teams, maybe. All right, so you have. We'll do a quick math here. NL East.
So assuming there are 30 teams, just
Yeah,
assuming 162 each, that's 4,800. Oh no, wait, cuz they play each other. So hang on, you don't multiply it by 30. You multiply it
there are
times
actually
15.
24 teams. There are 24 teams.
Okay, so that would be times, if I'm doing this right, that's just shy of 2,000 games.
Yeah.
That still doesn't sound right. All right, how many baseball games in a season? Major League Baseball schedule. Let's see here if it says a total of 2,430 games plus the postseason. That's
Yes,
stupid.
that's what I mean. That's
That's
why I
dumb.
said that is the blessing and the curse of the baseball fan. You have a world of baseball. You're constant from between the months of March and October. You're completely inundated and surrounded by baseball. But that's both a blessing and a curse because you can watch as much baseball as you want. You can devote your whole life to baseball, or you could just follow your team casually. But no matter what, there's a lot of baseball to be had. So
I will say that, when you buy like NFL Sunday Ticket or NBA Game Pass, I always think it's hard to get your money's worth. I feel like when you buy the MLB pass, I feel like you probably get your money's worth out of that.
yeah.
Good Lord, that is
Well,
unnecessary.
the thing is with baseball though, it's very different from other sports in terms of media coverage. Because every team has their own network, so to speak.
Yeah, with all the regional sports channels. God
Yes,
damn.
regional sports chat. You have but it's not like football and basketball where it'll be on
Mostly
like
nationally.
CBS, it'll be on Fox.
ESPN, yeah.
Yeah, broadcast regionally or broadcast nationally. It'll be broadcast by like by Yes or by Turner Sports or by SNY.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
the team itself is like a media corporation. So you have to buy their I don't know. It gets confusing. You
This
can buy either a season pass or you can buy just a pass to cover your one team, which I guess you could do in football too.
Matt, I'm being honest with you. You're not selling me on baseball here.
I'm just telling you the
You're
facts.
well.
I'm telling you the honest facts. Although you should consider yourself lucky as a Boston Red Sox fan because they do have one of the best. I think they do have one of the best moderating crews.
Matt,
I like their moderating
who
people. The
said
Nesson folks.
Well, Nesson is great for Bruins coverage. First of all, and second of all, who said I was a Red Sox fan?
I'm just assuming based on your sports loyalty. You're from Massachusetts.
Look, big
It's
Patriots
kind of
fan,
like
big Celtics fan, huge
yeah.
Bruins fan. Couldn't care less about the Red Sox.
Well, that's right now, but you're also not really a baseball fan right now.
But then why don't I take this opportunity to get into the Houston
No,
Astros?
no. You want to
Yeah,
be right now. I'm telling you,
I want to
it's
be a
time
Cubs.
to
I'll get on the
it's
Cubs
time to
bandwagon.
sell on the Astros. Buy on the
I
Red
was
Sox.
rooting for the
Buy
Mets in
on
the
the Cubs too.
playoffs.
The Cubs are going to be great next year.
What about the Mets? Should I root for the
The
Mets?
Mets are the Mets are I would say are on a little bit of a decline. Why not? You could always be miserable like me and root for the Mets. I won't deny you of that. But when we finally win our World Series in probably 15 to 20 years from now, because you have to understand the Mets are cyclical like that. Our chance only really comes around every 15 or 20 years, and sometimes we get it and sometimes we don't. Um, but the Cubs are I could see you being a Cubs fan. I could see you You definitely have the spirit of a Cubs fan.
Thank you? Question mark.
Say. Yeah.
But I was to kind of, because we got to wrap up here. We're like so far over time. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. But just to put a bow on the football discussion, I realized this the other day after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. I am so spoiled that I have grown. When the Patriots won their first Tom Brady Super Bowl in 2001, I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
I have lived my entire life, basically, with one of the greatest sports franchises in the history of sports. Up there with the Jordan Bulls, up there with the Magic Lakers. One of the best winningest sports franchises in all of sport. What is going to happen when they start to suck? Because it will happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I am, like when you're like a Mets fan or a Cubs fan, like, you live so long and it's that much sweeter when you finally win. I felt like not that, I obviously was excited when they won, but like, I'm not like still thinking, like, it's not that big of a deal that they won. Like,
No.
like them coming back from the greatest
more.
deficit ever was not that big of a surprise. I mean, it was fun, but I wasn't like shocked. Like, how did that happen? No, I know how it happened. They're the best ever.
Yeah, I mean, you ask a Patriots fan who was a fan of the Patriots all through the '80s and early '90s,
You're
and
exactly
then
right.
that first win was tremendously sweet
But
for
you also
them.
have to remember, in my lifetime too, the Red Sox won 3 World Series, the Bruins won the Stanley Cup, the Celtics won the NBA championship. I even think the New England Revolution won a MLS Cup. Like, I've lived in New England at a time when New England sports as a whole has never been better. It's all downhill from here. Like, maybe we get another Super Bowl or two out of Brady, but
think about like the end of the Belichick era.
where's the team going?
Although he really has built a very dominant organization.
Oh, they're going to be winning.
So,
You got Bob Kraft leading the team. You also remember too, Celtics are going to be a high seed in the playoffs this year. Obviously, the Cavaliers and Warriors are fantastic, but behind them, they're right up there. The Red Sox, as you mentioned, are going to be looking pretty good. The Bruins just fired their coach, so maybe not as good, but things are still looking good for there's a reason they call Boston Title Town, and that's because we win a lot.
I've never heard that.
And now I have to root for the friggin' Texans and the Astros and the Rockets. Lucky me.
Yeah.
What a shame. All right, Matt. Well, we're going to put a pin in it because we've got to wrap up and move on. I hope everyone out there had as much fun as we did talking about this. If you would like more Up for Debate, we have a place you can go, upfordebate.tv. It's our website. Go there, get all our past episodes, audio, video, the whole 9 yards, and get caught up. I recommend you check that out. You can subscribe by going to upfordebate.tv/subscribe, and there it has all the links to all the places you can subscribe. Get a new episode when they're live, videos on YouTube, audio on really everywhere, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, basically anywhere you get audio, we're there, and in most major podcasting apps. I'll also mention you can get in touch with us. Let us know what you thought of our Super Bowl prop bets, topics you'd like us to discuss. We want to hear from you. upfordebatetv@gmail.com is the email, at upfordebatetv on Twitter. And lastly, you can leave us a voicemail at 508-644-TECH. That's 508-644-8324, and we might play it on the show. Matt and I will be back another time with more exciting things to discuss. But until then, we greatly appreciate you joining us and hoping to see you next time for even more